A video by Richie Wainwright. That's a hard name to pronounce for me. I'm sorry for that, Richie. If you see this, please don't hate me. That would be pretty nice. I like you. I like your stuff. You know that. He made a nice little video about, I hope a nice little video about dubstep effects on modern metal guitars. And I actually wanted to check this out with you because I think it can be interesting, especially because I think that the metal realm does not really understand what dubstep effects are, because most of the time they are talking about the Thal production, the Humanity's Last Breath, Buster Odenholm in general, Mira production stuff with all the pitch shifting and automations and stuff, and people think that's kind of dubstep effects. It really isn't, though. Like that's not really what dubstep is about. But that's completely okay because they need kind of a term for this, and I completely understand this. We're gonna give this video a like already. I wrote a comment already. I haven't watched the video yet. Sorry, Richie. But I love the topic. And yeah, let's check it out. Let's see what he's talking about. Let's see if this all makes sense, and if we can maybe add one or two things.
Hey guys, today I want to show you how we can use effects and automation to make guitars sound like...
Also, one thing I want to give you guys is, if you don't know this guy yet, as I said, it's Richie Wainwright with double I at the Richie. And he's probably one of the best metal production teachers out there, so definitely check it out. He knows what he's talking about and he nails it to the point. It's definitely worth it.
Hey guys, today I want to show you how we can use effects and automation to make guitars sound like this.
I immediately hear that a sub bass is missing. If you produce stuff like this, you definitely want to add an external sub bass to make it even fatter and bigger and thumpier. It's not really a metal thing to do, though, especially if you play this stuff kind of live. Even though most of the time that's not possible because of all the crazy pitch shifting. But even if you want to play it live, you need a backing track with a sub bass. And I understand that he did not do that here because he's literally playing it, right?
So this is something I'm hearing creeping into modern metal production more and more in...
So what he definitely got right is like the little staccato stuff and the pitch shifting and everything. I really, really like to do that. I'm excited how he's going to do that, if he's using the Thal amp that just came out by my friend Buster. If he uses that for the pitch shifting and everything, or like an actual pedal, or if he's using an automation. What I do with my stuff is I just automate the pitch of the guitars before it goes through the amp. That gives it a really, really cool tone. But let's see.
Nick Gordon's work, a lot of Zach Savini's work, Buster Odenholm's bands, Spirit Box a little bit. All of these guys are experimenting more than ever with automated...
I actually think Buster started it with Humanity's Last Breath, like the crazy guitar manipulation stuff, and then Mira came and made like the pitch shifting stuff out of it. So I think it's definitely needed to give Mira credit here, because they kind of started this over the top guitar processing, right? Dude, Suffocate, you have to check out more of his bands, like his bands, quote unquote, the stuff he's producing. He is, in my opinion, the best metal producer at the moment.
Effects on guitars, and I feel like we're at the start of this new wave of this kind of super complex guitar processing in a way we've never seen before. I kind of think of it as like 4-dimensional guitar tones, because until now we've been, as guitarists and producers, developing our guitar tones, doing all these complex things, quad tracking, reamping, multiband compression, all these different things to get a super high-tech complex guitar tone. And I think inevitably the next step after that is going to be these kind of evolving guitar tones that aren't just a static perfected sound, but instead are exploring the possibilities of digital processing to create tones that are constantly changing and moving and never standing still. And I'm probably sounding very crazy
and this is honestly the only possible way to really combine bass music and metal. if you just have a metal part and a bass music part, it will not connect. But if you do this kind of stuff and just go more in depth about the processing of both sides, you're in for some magic, trust me.
Technical right now, and I have been kind of getting into mad scientist mode exploring these ideas. But today I'm going to break down a bunch of tricks for this approach.
Please, Richie, be my mad scientist now.
In a way that should hopefully make sense and give you a lot of your own ideas for how you can innovate with your guitar tones. So let's jump in, and I'm going to start by just tracking a riff. I have kind of a standard metal tone here. If you saw my President track remake, I've just reused the same template that I made for that video, so it's all the same sounds. So let's lay down a riff.
Honestly, I think Nimda's sound is way too clean. Like the drop stuff is way too OTT-ish to make this kind of stuff work. It's not dirty enough. Hey, Distorium.
And on the right.
Nice. The low guitar sounds so evil. I'm curious if he's going to pitch it down even more, because I know that Buster's doing that sometimes, and Mira as well. Me as well. To get like even an octave lower, to be like below what a guitar can actually like physically do, and I like that a lot. Same Suffocate, same.
And with this riff, I'm intentionally keeping it quite simple so we can really let the production be the instrument here. The guitar is just kind of a texture. The MacBook Pro is the instrument. So we have a cool riff here, but right now it kind of sounds like every other band out there. It's a very static sound, generic modern metal kind of riff. So let's try automating some effects to see where we can take this. And firstly, the obvious thing to do would be some whammy or pitch shifting. This is kind of a more old school trick because bands have been using whammy for decades, but digitally we can get a lot more surgical and futuristic with it. So let's start automating this.
Yes! He's doing exactly what I'm doing.
Guitar less static, and I'm going to use the 3 kHz pitch shifter. Great plugin. I'm putting this in front of the amp, and let's start literally the first note of the riff. I want to do like a whammy dive bomb on that note. So here's our pitch automation and just affecting this note. So we'll put it here. Let's just drag it down an octave, maybe even further. Let's just put it like way down. Already that makes it bounce so much more. Then let's do this note. Let's do maybe the opposite. So pull it all the way down and let it swell up. Maybe not quite as low as that, just because it's getting so low that it's not even like a note anymore.
Yeah.
Insane. And of course, next it has to be this harmonic.
Go higher, dude.
Sound really cool with distortion, but we can take this further. Let's just shoot this one up like a dubstep kind of pitch glide sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point where I can't agree. Like, this has not really anything to do with modern dubstep, which is kind of funny. But the big problem is that dubstep is just out of the frame. People don't know what dubstep sounds anymore. So they hear this and are like, yeah, this pitch shift wow stuff must be dubstep. It's kind of funny. No shade on Richie, of course.
And we can just keep going with this wherever it feels tasteful. Maybe that note there right at the end. Let's pull that right down. Maybe like a little bit of a angle on it. So it suddenly drops. What
I like to do is also just take a full note of the guitar and pitch it like an octave up or one semitone up or something, or an octave and a semitone. That gives it some interesting, cool stuff as well.
And then these chugs, definitely want to do something crazy with those. Let's try taking them from really low to really high, like really unnatural and digital sounding. Okay, and then these notes, I intentionally played the same note 4 times because I knew I was going to chop it like this and then repeat it 4 times, and then we'll cut it. So it's
Yeah, I like that.
really blurring the lines
Staccato.
between a synth and a guitar.
You can also do this with an automation, like taking the kilohertz transgate or something and automate that. I like to do that as well. Suffocate, I'm working on something actually. So that might be interesting in the future. And the drum pack that I'm using the most is either from Buster, like Buster Odenholm on Odenholm Production is the company, I think. He is selling probably the best metal drums, but I'm using a drum pack that a friend of mine recorded for me, which is like 1 million different drum hits, like real drum hits and stuff.
Another harmonic.
But I'm working on processing them at the moment to maybe be able to sell them in the future.
There, let's do the inevitable thing with that.
Ildubs, I'm all in for that. I'm using the Jin bass, for example, for my bass guitar, and then I'm using the Odin for my main guitar. It's just easier than playing a guitar to just dial it in, and especially if you mess around with your guitar that much, like in thul type production. It doesn't matter how the guitar sounds anyways.
We could do it down. Whoa. Okay, then the second half of the riff, I really want to get crazy. Let's get these chugs like as nasty as possible.
Yeah, fish tank.
I'm just going to pull them all the way down. Let's try that. Just let it turn into an absolute mess that isn't even a note anymore. Okay, maybe not that low. Maybe like this. Just have it right at the end drop.
I really have to try it out a lot.
Down. Okay, and then that pick scrape. Let's just try throwing that one up. Maybe we just take it all the way up 2 octaves. Okay, then we get to these super fast notes, which I played relatively cleanly. But in order to get these like inhumanly surgically tight, we're going to do one little trick here. So that was just one chug. I've just recorded one little chug, and then what I'm going to do is get rid of what we had. And I'm just going to repeat this like a digital little glitch sound. So
Ildubs, I don't really care. Don't know their music, really.
It gets really synth-like and just weird sounding. It's going to be like a machine gun.
Machine gun mentioned!
So the relatively tight playing we had is now insanely tight. It just sounds insane. And just before we're done with pitching, I want to do one little trick with these blasts. To make them feel even more intense, let's just have the pitch slowly go up like this. Just makes it feel like impact is imminent. And then on the second time round, maybe we do this the other way. So kind of start high and bring it really low. All right, and I'm just going to copy all of that pitch automation and put it on the pitch automation for the right, so we get the same thing happening between both guitars.
Yeah, I think it's a bit too much. What I really, really love to do is just take the full note from hit to end and then pitch it up and down and stuff. I think that gives it a lot more impact, instead of having like these glides and falls all the time. But I get the point. Like, he's just trying to get a point across here, and that makes sense, I guess.
So already that's transformed the sound, but we are just getting started here. There's so much more we can do. Remember, we're trying to think like sound designers here, not guitarists. So we don't just have a pedal board, we have a whole DAW here, and we can do anything with it. So what I want to do next is make it so that this tone doesn't...
Kind of curious what he's doing now.
One level of distortion. It's already a very distorted tone, but for certain notes, I really want to be able to dial up the distortion to ridiculous levels. So let's use another kilohertz plugin, the phase distortion. I've got this in front of the amp, and we could use any type of distortion. I just like this one because it's got like a really synthy, weird sound. It's going to help to make this sound
good texture, definitely,
and even more digital. And technically we could get really complicated and automate any of these parameters, but I'm just going to automate the mix. So I've got the drive halfway, the tone halfway. Right now we have the mix at 0, so this is doing nothing, but I'm going to sweep this up and down with automation so we can kind of bring in more distortion in and out as we want it.
Yeah, Max, it's not really normal, this type of production. Not many metal producers are doing this, especially because metal is just a really elitist genre, if that makes sense. Which is not a problem, I think. Like, it's not meant as a critique or anything. People just like their metal to stay human and real, right? Of course, it's getting more and more involved in modern metal, though.
Those two chugs, definitely let's take those further with distortion. So let's just kind of go from 0 and maybe even bring it up to 100. Let's see. Whoa. Maybe not quite 100, maybe like... So without that, we have the pitching, which sounds cool. But with it, it gets so intense. Let's do a little bit of this as well. Try some on that harmonic. Yeah, definitely these big chugs. Let's go crazy on those. Let's try 100.
I would do it vice versa on the chugs. Like, go distorted at the impact and then make it less.
Yeah, get really nasty at the end there. I think that's all we need from the phase distortion. We're just sneaking these things in there so it ramps up the intensity in a way that's still musical. It sounds crazy, but it doesn't sound
Hey, Jax.
unlistenable. We're just pushing the limits of intensity. And let's double up on the distortion. I like the phase distortion for the kind of digital vibe that it has, but you can't beat a bit of fuzz if you want to go
Big
crazy
goat.
on some notes. And again, I've just set this where I want it, and I'm just going to focus on automating the mix, which is at 0 right now. But basically every standout note, I want to go pretty crazy with this. This one, just get the distortion ridiculous. Let's put it like, block it out really high here for this note. Just ugly. Let's repeat what we did with the phase distortion here. Just
Kinda funny.
basically the exact same thing, but just double it up with the intensity of the fuzz. We're really taking this guitar into like almost synth-like territory. And we're going to take that even further in a second when we're done with this fuzz. Okay, for this note,
Yeah, but for real, if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to see my takes on this kind of production and a bit more insight from me, drop me a comment, honestly. Would love to do some more stuff in this direction.
let's just go ridiculous again. Just maybe just try it at 100%.
Comment.
And maybe this last note here before it
You're literally just building a house here.
drops. Just try it like that. Listen to that. Just a total mess. Okay, then again, we'll mirror what we were doing with the chugs, and then maybe for these rapid fire bursts, let's see if it works. Just putting these like full, or maybe like nearly full, and then yes. And even though we're going crazy with effects here, I am being careful to not touch some of these notes. Those two there have nothing on them. So we kind of go into crazy effects world and then we come back to the riff. So it doesn't just sound like a mess. We're just accenting certain notes to really make it seem like there's no limit to this guitar sound. Okay, in a second we're going to go like full dubstep insanity with this, but right now,
I will show you an example of this kind of genre after this video real quick.
we've got. Okay, so the next step, if we want to make this sound futuristic and alien, is going to be some kind of filtering. Let's use Kilohertz again. Shout out this company for making the best free plugins. So I'm just going to set the mix at like 50, and let's just set this somewhere where it sounds interesting or alien. Okay, I'm liking that around there. And again, I'm just going to accent certain notes by blending in and out the mix on this. Okay, that boom. That sounds a little too basic. I don't want to go crazy with it, but yeah, maybe just a little bit of comb filtering on that. And then definitely,
Don't really hear a difference.
maybe we just pull it like all the way up like this for that note.
So I think this now is the point where it might be a bit too much. I don't see the filtering 100%. Of course, you can do that. I do not think it's 100% necessary though, especially because it depends if he is the filtering after the amp or before the amp. But if it's before the amp, you don't really hear it, I think. It's just too messy for it already. Thank you, Agrivel. Thank you for the sub.
Okay, I think that's
Super SKRILLEX.
enough. I don't want to overdo the comb filter. I just want to have it in there to make it a bit more interesting. So far, everything I've done here on the left, I've pasted on the right. But in a second, we're going to leave the left like that and do a couple more things on the right to make this even more crazy. But just before we leave the left, I want one more type of filter, and this is going to be a Foreman filter. So this insane note right before it drops into those chugs, I want to make that sound like the world is ending. So let me just try sweeping this around. This is basically going to give us weird filters that give us kind of vowel sounds. Very dubstep.
It's so funny. Like the world really thinks that that's dubstep. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. You know, like if you're like us, in the bass music realm and listening to that stuff and kind of following the scene and the evolution and everything, it's so funny to see people talk about dubstep that are obviously not in that realm. And once they hear a yoy, it is instantly dubstep, even though no one is using that anymore, besides some people that think it's kind of funny. It's so funny. It's so interesting. And again, no shade to someone not knowing more about this kind of stuff. But it's just so interesting to watch this. I kind of love it.
Okay, maybe that. What I'm going to do with this is just automate it on and off. So it's off right now. Nice.
Kind of cool though.
Just feels like a glitch or something. Feels like something has gone very wrong. Okay, so to finish this off, like I said, I'm only going to affect the right channel now because we're going to do some really synthy stuff. So I only want to do this on one side so that we still have the left kind of telling you it's definitely a guitar. It's not a synth. It's just very heavily manipulated. I want this to still sound like metal. But what I want to do here is use this Foreman filter again in a more complex, more SKRILLEX kind of way. So
it's so cute.
Sounding like
in a more SKRILLEX kind of way. It's such a cute wording. Honestly, I think it's really cute to hear. You know what I mean?
Like a filtered dubstep bass. So what I want to do,
I really have a sympathy over this guy. Like it's kind of cool.
Is kind of automate this to sweep around and give us some kind of weird vowel sound.
Harsh to listen to on one side.
Let me try a really quick sweep like this. Okay, I did that very badly by hand, so let me just write that in. All right, so I'm gonna have it go all the way up on one axis and all the way down on the other. There you go, and then we just want to turn off the bypass so that the effect actually switches on just for those notes. Yeah, maybe if we blend that with the left, let's see how it sounds.
That kind of makes sense though.
Okay, and finally, the last outside of the box trick here I want to do to make this sound even more intense is automate the cab to switch off to just accent a few notes that I want to be really harsh and jumping out at you in the mix. Those glitches that we chopped up, they sound cool, but do you hear how they're not like jumping out at you enough? It's kind of just like do-do-do-do-do.
What you could do there is layer an actual machine gun sound over it, or a machine gun bass that you can definitely use from my sample and preset packs that I'm doing. Check the description below, YouTube. No? Okay.
I want it to be like bah, 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 right in your face. So the cabinet is what smooths out and shapes all of the harsh distortion coming from the amp. I'm using the Auto Audio 1111 here, and if we turn that cab off, it's going to get really intense. Here's how it sounds with the cab on. If I now turn this off, listen to how it sounds. quite awful, right? But if we just switch it off for those notes, they're going to jump out and have that harshness that I want them to have. And I'm just doing this on the right. So the left is still going to sound smooth and shaped. This is just going to give it that little extra push so that something extra is going on in the right. Now with the right channel isolated, that did sound quite jarring, but in the mix, that's going to give us what we need to just get those guitars jumping out, and it shouldn't be too intense because we left this channel alone.
So I don't know what I think about different processing on left and right channel. It just makes it a bit muddy and ugly to listen to for me. I still understand the approach though, because it's kind of normal in metal production. It's just my bass music biased brain that doesn't like having different stuff on my left and right ear, I think.
So there you go, guys. We have set up a bunch of automation and completely transformed the sound of this guitar. And hopefully that showed you that you don't have to just settle for one static tone in your song. You can keep it changing all the time. You could get way more complex than what I'm doing here even. I didn't want to get too crazy in this video, but honestly...
You went kind of crazy, my dude. Not gonna lie.
I think we can expect to start hearing a lot more tricks like this. I'm already hearing it in a lot of bands' music, and it's just inevitable that we're going to keep exploring the possibilities of this kind of sound. I feel like the metal world is realizing you can do with guitars what people like SKRILLEX realized you could do with synths like 15 years ago. It's just a bit more complicated. Not that dubstep is easy to make, but synths kind of are designed to do these things, whereas guitars, you kind of have to find ways to force them to do these things. But it's just a piece of audio. You can manipulate it however you want, so the possibilities are really endless. So I hope
not sure if I can agree on that term.
you guys have enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit the like.
Also, SKRILLEX is actually not really doing dubstep anymore. That's one other thing. Yeah, it's a good video though. It's a good video. Obviously, he doesn't really know about the bass music scene, which is fine, which is okay. He just grabbed this dubstep effects on metal guitar stuff from Buster and people that talk about it, I think. I think he went a bit too far into the dubstep comparison. But it's still okay. It's still fine. It's still a good video and it's still interesting. I think you could go more in depth about this stuff though, and why and how to use it. Still great video. Again, check out his stuff. That's his channel here. There you go. Check it out. Great guy. And make sure to check out our videos. They are actually more fleshed out. It feels like in the other videos he just knows a bit more what he's talking about than in this one, which is okay. No shade at all.